History is not made by whispers. On October 14th, 1066, the Battle of Hastings changed England forever. The fate of a nation was decided not by words, but by swords and arrows on a Sussex hillside. By sunset, the Anglo-Saxon era ended, replaced by a new Norman order. This single day reset England's culture, language, and laws, tying its destiny to continental Europe. The echoes of Hastings still shape the nation we know today. The year is 1066. England stood at a precipice, teetering on the edge of profound change. The seeds of transformation were sown not in peace, but in the turmoil of succession. England's crisis began with a vacant throne, a void that threatened to swallow the kingdom whole. The source of this instability? King Edward the Confessor, a monarch revered for his piety, died childless in January of 1066. His death created a power vacuum, a dangerous opening in the intricate web of English politics. Edward's passing unleashed a storm of ambition and rivalry, leaving chaos in his wake. The stability of the realm was shattered, replaced by uncertainty and the clamouring of competing claims. In the immediate aftermath, the Witan, the Council of England, moved swiftly. They crowned Harald Godwinson, a powerful nobleman and Edward's brother-in-law, as the new king. But Harold's ascent to the throne was far from secure. His claim was immediately challenged, igniting a powder keg of resentment and long-held grievances. From across the English Channel, William of Normandy, a formidable and ambitious duke, insisted the throne was promised to him by Edward years prior. He saw Harold's coronation as a betrayal, a theft of his rightful inheritance. William, fueled by a sense of destiny and a hunger for power, began preparing for invasion, gathering his forces and constructing a fleet to cross the sea. But the threat to Harold's reign wasn't limited to Normandy. From the north, Viking king Harald Hardrada, a seasoned warrior with a reputation for ruthlessness, urged by Harold's exiled brother Tostig, who sought to reclaim his lost earldom and settle old scores, also staked his claim to the English crown, adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding crisis. England, unprepared and vulnerable, faced the daunting prospect of invasion from both Normandy and Norway, a pincer movement designed to crush the fledgling king. This dire situation forced Harold to defend his crown on two fronts, stretching his resources and testing his strategic acumen to the absolute limit. The stage was set for a three-way struggle, a clash of titans that would determine the future of England and reshape the course of history. This epic contest would decide the nation's fate, ushering in a new era or plunging England into further chaos and fragmentation. Only one king would survive the year, only one would claim the prize, and only one would leave their indelible mark on the destiny of England. The year is 1066, a pivotal moment in English history. The throne is up for grabs and ambitious claimants are emerging from all corners. The first attack came from the north, a thunderous roar echoing across the sea. Hardrada's Vikings, seasoned warriors from the Norselands, landed near York, their longships slicing through the waves, carrying a fearsome army ready to stake their claim. They sought to conquer and establish a new Viking kingdom. But Harald Godwinson, the newly crowned King of England, was not one to back down. He swiftly marched his army 200 miles in a matter of days, a grueling pace that tested the limits of his men. He met the Vikings at Stamford Bridge and crushed them in a bloody and decisive battle. The Viking threat was extinguished, or so it seemed. Victory was short-lived, a fleeting moment of triumph overshadowed by a looming threat from across the English Channel. William, Duke of Normandy, landed his forces in Sussex on the southern coast of England with his own designs on the English throne. This occurred just as Harold's men were exhausted and depleted from the fierce battle in the north. They were weary, but duty called. Harold, with a heavy heart, force-marched his battered army south, knowing that another great battle awaited them. He desperately began gathering what reinforcements he could along the way, hoping to bolster his ranks before the inevitable clash. On October 13th, 1066, the stage was set for a monumental confrontation. Harold strategically positioned his remaining troops atop Senlac Hill, a natural defensive position that offered a commanding view of the surrounding landscape. He was preparing a defensive stand, hoping to weather the Norman onslaught and protect his kingdom. The plan was simple yet crucial. Form a shield wall, an impenetrable barrier of men and steel, and hold the high ground at all costs. The fate of England, its future, its very identity, would be decided in one final brutal confrontation, a clash of cultures and ambitions that would echo through the ages. The armies braced themselves for the battle that would shape history, a day of reckoning that would forever alter the course of England. At dawn, two armies of 7,000 faced off. Harold's shield wall stood firm atop the ridge while William's Normans attacked in waves. Norman arrows and cavalry failed to break the English line. The shield wall held strong for hours. A rumour of William's death nearly broke the Normans, but he rallied his men. Desperate, William used a feigned retreat. Some English broke ranks to pursue, only to be cut down. This tactic shattered the shield wall, opening fatal gaps. The Normans surged through, turning the tide. The disciplined defence crumbled under relentless assault. The battle's outcome was sealed. The clash of steel echoed across the battlefield, a symphony of destruction as the Norman knights relentlessly pressed their attack. With the shield wall broken, chaos reigned supreme. The once impenetrable barrier of Anglo-Saxon defence shattered, leaving their warriors vulnerable to the Norman onslaught. King Harold, the last Anglo-Saxon king of England, fought valiantly, but his fate was sealed. An arrow pierced his eye, and with him, Anglo-Saxon England crumbled. His death marked the end of an era, the fall of a kingdom. The English leadership, the backbone of the Anglo-Saxon resistance, was decimated, wiped out in a single day of brutal combat. The flower of English nobility lay dead on the field of battle, their hopes and dreams extinguished. With their king and nobility gone, there was no one left to effectively resist the Norman advance. The throne lay empty, a symbol of the power vacuum that had engulfed the nation. The Anglo-Saxon halls stood silent, abandoned by their lords. William, now the undisputed victor, marched his victorious army towards London, the heart of England. His banners flew high, a testament to his triumph and the dawn of a new age. He was crowned king in Westminster Abbey, a momentous occasion that cemented Norman rule over England. The crown, once worn by Anglo-Saxon kings, now rested upon the head of William the Conqueror, symbolizing the complete transfer of power. William systematically replaced the English elite with Norman barons, loyal to him and his vision for the kingdom. These Norman lords were granted vast estates and titles, effectively displacing the old Anglo-Saxon aristocracy. He imposed feudalism, a rigid social and economic system that structured society from the king down to the peasantry. This new order ensured Norman control and extracted wealth from the conquered lands. And to secure his power and project his authority, William ordered the construction of imposing stone castles like the Tower of London to secure his power. These fortresses served as symbols of Norman dominance and centres of military control. French, the language of the Norman conquerors, became the language of the court, the language of power and prestige. Legal documents were written in French, and the royal court conducted its business in the tongue of the new rulers. This linguistic shift, along with other reforms, profoundly transforming English society and law, laying the foundations for a new legal framework. The Norman influence permeated every aspect of English life. England's ties shifted dramatically, moving away from its traditional connections with Scandinavia to a closer relationship with continental Europe. Trade routes expanded, and England became more integrated into the European political landscape. The Norman conquest irrevocably altered the course of English history, forever altering its path and shaping its identity. The impact of this pivotal event continues to resonate through the centuries. The trauma of 1066, the Battle of Hastings, was total, a cataclysmic event that reshaped the political and social landscape of England. The consequences of this single battle were far-reaching and enduring, but from the ashes of the old Anglo-Saxon kingdom, a new Anglo-Norman England emerged, a fusion of cultures and traditions. This new society would blend the best of both worlds, creating a unique and vibrant civilization. The blood spilled at Hastings, a sacrifice made on the altar of conquest, ultimately forged the nation's future, setting it on a course that would define its destiny for centuries to come. The Norman legacy remains an integral part of England's identity.